Hello. Let's see if anybody on this Saturday night is available to join. I probably should have put a time on here that I was going to be live. That would have been a smart thing to do. Just because you got a lot of degrees don't mean you have all the common sense in the world. So I am going to hang out a little bit to see if anyone joins the live. I see one person is on, I think. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask me, you can go ahead and write them in the chat. Um, I have tons of questions that I can answer that people have been writing me over the last 5 months, I want to say. That's embarrassing to even say that it's been that long since I've been on here. But I'm here now. So I'm going to hang out a bit to see if people are available tonight and if they have any questions. So if you're on here right now, I see 3 people on. If you have any questions that you would like to ask me, go ahead and write them in the chat. It's really, really too many for me to just go through. I will probably end up going through these and make a video of that might be a way for me to get some content to go through each one of these questions and make like 3 to 4 minute videos and just upload those. The people that are on, do you have anything that you would like to ask me? Are you students? Are you currently psych MPs? I mean, family MPs transitioning already? Are you, what is it? Where are you at right now on the journey? Because I'm assuming you're on here because you're somewhere on a journey. Okay, so I'm interested in starting my own business. I have an LLC, an NPI, and a DEA. I just don't know where to start first. Okay, so that is the first step right there is the LLC, NPI, and DEA. Now, depending on what state you are in, if you're not autonomous, you will need, before I would even start working on everything else, you would need to have a collaborating physician. So I'm in Florida. We have to have, yes, Kat, I'm answering your question now. So I'm in Florida. I have to have a collaborating physician. And I don't know. I do see your question now. So maybe there's a delay. Because you asked me, do I see your question? So I do. So I'm in Florida. I have to have a collaborating physician. So I pay somebody $650 a month. That is actually on a low end because I know some people that are paying thousands of dollars a month for collaborating physicians. So I pay $650 a month. In California, you definitely need a collaborating physician, and you also in California need. I have a California license. I just renewed my California license, and it was a total of like $900 to renew my California license. I'm still trying to recover from that because all my license I do at the same time. So one thing about licensing when you become an NP, you have to have a you have to keep your RN license active in every state that you have your California. You have to keep your RN license in every state that you have an NP license. So I'm currently licensed in Florida, California, Georgia, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, and New Mexico. I gotta keep my RN license in all those states as well as my NP license, and they all do around the same time. Let me tell you, I'm trying to recover. I need to go pick up some shifts at bedside, something to recover from all that money that I just paid for all them because they all do around my birthday or anywhere between April and July. So, Kat, you have to. There are 3 licenses in California you have to get. You have to keep the RN license. You have to do the NP, and there's another one. I forgot what it's called, but it's like $300 or $400 too. So you need all 3 of those licenses, and you need a collaborating physician to work in California. So, but that's not to say you can't do it because there are a lot of MPs in California that's getting it done, and you know Cali is on the high end of everything. So I'm not sure what the collaborating physicians are costing out there, but I would be surprised if they're anything less than 1,500 a month in Cali. If you find something cheaper than that, tell me. Girl, I don't have no deep pockets. I'm recovering as we speak. I'm trying to recover from that. So, Trisha, Trisha said, just passed my PN class and got accepted into the ADN program. My goal is Psych NP. How do you recommend I stay at the Psych nurse before applying to NP school? Been doing Psych since 2011. Um, So I'm assuming when you say you just passed the PN, that's the LPN that you just passed, if I understand that correctly, and then you got accepted to the ADN, so you're about to do your RN. Um, my goal is I can be how do you recommend I stay as a psych nurse before applying to NP school? So I don't know if you know my journey. I was never a psych nurse in this. I don't, it's not bad advice. This is just my experience. And it's that I was an ICU nurse. Um, I've never worked as a psych nurse, but I do have a bachelor's in psychology, and I always had a wanted to do psych. I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but then I thought about med school. I got pregnant, and then I was like, you know what? I just went back to do RN. So I went back to do RN, stayed at RN for I don't know, 13 years or so, did travel RM, did ER, PACU, ICU, GI, like all the little specialty areas. Then it was like, okay, I'm kind of still feeling unfulfilled, like I'm not in purpose. So that's when I went back in 2016 to do my psych MP. And so yeah, that's where I'm at now. So to answer your question, if you want to do psych nursing, I think it is a great idea because you'll be familiar with the classes of medications and stuff like that, so that when you come out of school, I think you may have an advantage, right? And the reason I say that is because one question that I get a lot from people is, do I still think Psych MP is worth it because of oversaturation? And my answer to that is, okay, so yeah, go work as a psych RN if you could get a job. They're always hiring for that. I don't know where you live at, but they're always hiring for that. Go for it, and you'll get the experience. So when you come out of school, you'll have a head start. in the field because you're not learning the medications because you familiarize yourself already with the different classes of medication. And when I say that, I mean like the antidepressants, the mood stabilizers, um, the anxiolytics, and the antipsychotics. You'll be more familiar with their mechanism of action and why give them and stuff like that. So when you be coming to the field as a psych MP, you have an advantage. Me, the only medication I really kind of gave in the ICU, we would give antidepressants, we would give like Ativan and stuff to calm people down in ED, or for withdrawals and things like that. But the antipsychotics, most of that was new to me when I got in school, so I had to learn all that. And it's not hard to learn because they're in their classes, and everybody has their thing that they like to use more so than other. One thing I'm learning about psych is that there's no right answer with psych. There, you know how, and it's kind of the same with medicine too, right? When you put somebody on a beta blocker or something like that, some work for some people, some do different things. So psych is really like that. And the DSM-5, which, if you don't know that, that's like I hate to use the word Bible because nothing compares to that, but that's our gold standard of diagnosing. I guess it's because it's tore up that mean I've been using it right. So this is just the guide though. You kind of learn all this stuff as you go. There's no one size fit all. And you learning that in the field. You try to use these things and stick to the science, and then you get these patients that are like totally a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it's like, well, what do I do? So this is one of those fields that's just a constant learning gap that you're constantly reading and trying to figure out. um I have sorry, I just wanted to show y'all all these books. Like when so I'm in private practice now that I built for myself. Let me write it in here so that you guys could go look at it. Hold on. I'm writing this down so you guys could take a look at my site that I built, that I created. And this is, sorry. So this is my first live, y'all. Sorry it's so ghetto because I'm learning as I go. So that's my website there. If you want to take a look at the site that I had built for me. But I'm at this desk all the time with, you can't see it, but I have this book. This book is so helpful. Then of course there's Stahl, Prescriber's Guide. I have a mental health workbook. I have the DSM-5, and it's another book around here that I was reading, so it's not right here readily available. But when I'm on with patients, like I'm literally, looking through just for, there's no one size fit all in this field. And don't be scared though, because you're gonna learn as you go. You'll be able to pick up on something that somebody doing or saying and be like, I saw this before in another patient. So don't be scared. But to answer the original question about, do I think it's still room in this field? I do. Um, the reason I feel that way is because I know when you go apply for jobs, I'm going to answer your question in a minute, Gertrude, about the locums. Um, you you go apply for jobs, and I have to admit there is a somewhat of a hard time getting jobs depending on where you are, if you're not willing to locate and things like that, from what I'm reading and hearing from other people. But I think that post pandemic, the nurse practitioner game, the healthcare field opened up for nurse practitioners post pandemic, because I think we're going back to a time. I don't know if you know, in the older days that doctors used to go to patients' house and see them. I know you used to see it in the old movies and stuff. I think there's an opportunity there for us to create our own private practices and make our own money. But it takes time. So while you're doing that, of course, you need a job, and which is where I'm at right now. I don't have a job. I'm building a practice. I'm broke, but I'm here. So, um, I think there's opportunity here because there are what, like 8 billion, I don't know how many 8 billion people on this earth or whatever. And if we just focus on the United States, I don't even know how many people in the United States, but a person can comfortably probably handle one. I mean, like if I'm in the practice by myself, I have a friend of mine, she's in Tennessee. She's Psych and P. 2 years in, she has about 400 patients. She works three 12s, and then she works 3 days a week. She had to bring on an assistant to help her with those 400 patients. They do the callback. It's a virtual assistant, and she's now saying she wants more patients, but she thinks she needs help. So she's thinking about bringing on another psych and P. So I've been reading like comfortably each practitioner 400 patients is a comfortable number where you can pay your bills, live and travel, do whatever you need to do, and not work like a workhorse, right? This we talking doing like 3 to 4 days a week and still having 3 days to spend with your family or whatever you want to do. Cause that's the goal for me. Like I'm looking for freedom. Like I want my time back to I don't want to be working like a workhorse until I'm 65 and 70. I don't know what the retirement age gonna be at the state of the world we living in right now, but I don't want to be working like a workhorse. So I'm looking for ways to get my time back. So I would like to get to maybe 3 to 400 patients working 3 days a week. Four will probably be me going through my notes, making sure I, cross my T's and dot my I's, and then that's it. So I still think it's a very good field to come into no matter what you're seeing or hearing people say about saturation. Last time I checked, I live in Miami, and it's a Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King on every corner, and they ain't worried about what each other doing. They all selling burgers, right? So stop worrying about what other people doing. Go to school, get your degree, and figure it out. Get into do what you have to do until you get into private practice. And when you get into private practice, you control your time. You control how much money you make. You control all those things. So that's my schmeal on whether I think it's a good idea or not to still go through the program. My answer is yes. But I do have this to say, and this has come from reading a lot of comments and talking to a lot of nurses because I have a few nurses who are clients, right? All of these people came into this field post pandemic because we was making $10,000 a week, right, as nurses, but and nursing is glamorized on social media with the bells and whistles. Everybody got the Mercedes, everybody got the big houses, everybody traveling to Bali and doing the big things, right? But nobody talking nursing is hard work. So now they're here in the field. They were like, oh, y'all had to work for that money, huh? That y'all really had to work. I just talked to last night was some of the kids that I knew growing up. They grew up under me. Prom watch, and I ran into my nurse educator who actually hired me for my first nursing job, and she's still the educator over the trauma ICU in Miami. And she was telling me how nurses are being accepted into the internship program, and they're like, I gotta touch blood. I ain't signed up for this. What did y'all think nursing was for? Like, what did y'all think y'all was coming into the field for to make 10? Obviously we ain't making the 10,000 a week anymore, but nursing is hard work. So I brought that up to say people went into nursing RN for money during the pandemic. Now they hate it and they want out. And then, so I'm saying that about the psych MP is that there's a lot of people transitioning from family to psych, or people just going straight into psych. And I remember a time when people like hated psych. When I used to work in the ED, I used to be like, hey, can I put me in the back? Give me all the psych patients because I truly have a thing for psych. And nobody wanted to do psych. Excuse me. So now everybody wants to do psych. And I'm like, is motivation the money the motivation? Because if it is, you will be unhappy. and you will be probably depressed, and you will probably be on an anxiolytic or antidepressant or something because you don't really like it. Money, this field is hard. Like, it's really hard listening to people's trauma and sitting on this computer, y'all watching me, I'm watching them, and watching them cry, about things that happened to them. And I try not to get sucked into and crying too in my patients, right? Because we got to have some boundaries, but it gets hard sometimes when you're listening to people's problems that they had no control over. They were just children trying to be raised by the people they loved, right? So anybody coming into this field because they're motivated by money, go the other way, go somewhere else, do something else. This is not it. This is not what you should be doing. You Gertrude, you asked, am I still doing locum? I am not currently. I have my last contract was in December, which was at the corrections here in Miami. I have tons and tons of locums offers. So my daughter is a senior this year in school. She's graduating May 31st. So I was getting ready to go take a contract, and she was like, "Can you just stay home for me until I graduate?" So I didn't go. So I've been home and, just, waiting on her to finish school or whatever. So May 31st, she graduates, and then she's going off to college. But I have tons in locums office. Like, there's a contract in Florida. They need like 7 NPs right now at the state hospital. It's paying for everything. I'm getting my license in Montana because there's a state hospital in Montana. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing in Montana, but apparently they need a lot of help out there. So I'm getting my license in Montana. And it's not to say that I'm a go, but I'm keeping my options open, right? So I got my license. I'm getting that in Montana. Massachusetts, do yes, it is. Do so I'm there's tons of contracts out there right now where people just looking for help. New York is they begging me for new and to come to New York and do some stuff. Some of the jobs in New York, they actually want though. The reason why I want to go there because they want you like locums to transfer to permanent, and I ain't trying to move to New York. I like New York, but I like the sun. So but there are tons of contracts. So I'll be going on locums probably some point this summer. Jasmine asked, do you suggest an internship or something of the nature post grad? I will be graduating this August and I would love to be somewhere where I'm supported. If you could find an internship, the only place that I know that really kind of offers psych internships is at the VA. And I think it's super competitive to get into the VA. I don't That's the only place that I know that offer internships. Post grad, you probably should just be focusing on getting in no matter where you go work at, no matter where you go work at, you are going to have that stage fright like you had when you first got off orientation as an RN and you was like, "Oh, I got these two patients by myself. Ain't nobody." That you're gonna be like that no matter where you go at. So just get out there, get in the field and stay learning. Keep just trying to learn, stay reading. Psych is different, it's really different. Is you just gotta constantly keep reading articles about evidence. New stuff is always coming out, coming out, coming out. And then if you have the opportunity to go to these medication things because they take students like in different states. They're offered by, let's say, Availity or something. um if you have an opportunity to find these reps and go to these, it's good to help you with the medication, and they teach you good too. I just went to one last week at Morton Steakhouse. They take you to steakhouses and it's all free. You just got to buy your own drink, but the meal is free. But the important part of that is that you get to learn about medications. So um, they do it in every state, in every city. You just have to find reps that in those cities that do that. But don't be afraid. You don't need like a internship unless it's paid postgraduate. Like you ain't trying to be working for free. Um, how many patients do you have so far? So one thing with the pay with this is that in private practice is so I launched March 1st. That was my actual first day of opening and being ready to take patients. I do work with two companies that I mentioned in two previous videos in the past but when you work with them, they only do your billing. You're still responsible for getting your own patients. So your own patients is a direct result of your marketing. Um, and then keeping patients active, right? Because I've had patients that I've seen them 2 or 3 times and then they cancel appointment and then after they cancel the EHR system that I use, it automatically sends them in 30 days like the hey you type of reminder, like hey you. So I only prescribe my prescriptions between 30 and 60 days to make them come back and see me because they should check in, right? You're taking these medications, just life checks or whatever. So um but some of them don't follow through, so then those patients kind of become inactive. So the actual amount of patients that are always like how is kind of weird because you might have 20 but you might only have 15 that are active that you're actually seeing and billing for. So that's how that goes. um Yeah, they hate it, Trish. They hate it, and they gonna get in the field, and they gonna be regretting it, and then they spent their money on their masters and all that. Um, so yeah, I live in Massachusetts, graduating next year with PMHP. Hopefully, they will still be. Massachusetts will always have jobs, Gertrude. Massachusetts, like California, is the place where you go to make tons of money as a RN. Massachusetts is that place for psych. Massachusetts is like the psych hub. Like the lady who I used to work with at the prison on my last contract in New England, like she literally worked under like Carlot. Massachusetts is the place, and now their licensing was a nightmare. Oh my goodness, it took me so long to get their license, but I finally got it, and now I can't get these people to stop calling me about coming to take contracts there. So we'll see where I end up at in the summer. Um, I miss you too. Oh, that is so sweet. Private practice is going. I do need to do more marketing if I'm being honest. And I just got a brochure that I am going to start sending around to people. The biggest thing with private practice is networking and getting with the therapist because, they can't prescribe medication. So you want to build relationships with them so that you can have them refer patients to you that they feel like need medication management because they can't prescribe. Also, family, I've gotten maybe 2 or 3 patients from a family practice because family could prescribe, right? But when the patient start needing maybe more than 1 or 2 meds, then they like, no, you need to go get with a specialist. You need to go get a psychiatrist or whatever, or a psych NP. So you get referrals from them, but it's really, really big marketing to get your practice going, and it's also location dependent, right? Depending on where you are, because I've seen people post about. I've had conversation with people who've had who've been open like 3 months and they got like 100 patients, but they're doing aggressive marketing like billboards, all type of stuff, or they already had they got friends in the game, and it's like one of those type of things. But you got to get aggressive with marketing, depending on how fast you want to grow. I don't mind the slow growing because I got some other things that I got going on. But yeah, that's my answer to that. Um, I did answer that question, Kat. You said I didn't finish my sentence. My sentence. Do I think I will be still become a psych NP even though it's saturated? I do. I answered the question because I that's when I talked about um Burger King, Wendy's, and McDonald's all selling hamburgers being on the same corner. There's enough people in this world that, but I there's enough people in this world that you will make room, that it'll make room for you. The field will make room for you. But I do believe that that is in private practice. I'm not sure about, the hospitals. I think private practice and corrections. Like if you're willing to go work in a jail, I don't think you'll have an issue getting a job. But private practice, I think, is where the saturation doesn't matter. So that's my answer to that. I think if this the field will make room for you. There's a lot of people out here with mental health issues. I don't think it's getting any better. I think there will be more people coming with mental health issues. I think we coming into something soon that, how do I say this without sounding like a conspiracy theorist? Um, yes, I think there's a lot of room, for psych and P's, no matter what the fields look like with far as saturation is concerned. You just got to go into private practice at some point. That's my thoughts or corrections. Um, I am licensed. I'm licensed in about 8 states. I think I said Cali, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Georgia, Washington, Florida, 8. Yeah, I think 8 states. And currently Montana is in the works, so that'll be 9. Um, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Washington, New Mexico, all autonomous. You don't need a collaborating physician to work in those states. So you can market in those states and see patients in those states. California, New York, you can see if you have worked 3,000 hours under a psychiatrist before or in the field already. 3,000 hours. California, you need in Florida, you need no matter what. So I have all those states. I haven't started marketing in all those states like I should be. I got one patient in Massachusetts. That's it. But that needs to be my focus, is to market to those states and not California and all that. Because every state that I have a license for that is not autonomous, meaning I don't need that I could practice by myself, I would have to have a collaborating physician in that state, which will cost me more money and more money and more money. And I ain't got no money. So, like I said, the one in Florida already is charging me $650 a month. And in all honesty, I barely talk to the lady, like, right? Because Florida, so what the collaborating physicians do is depending on what the board of nursing of that state says. Florida basically says you don't have to do nothing. Like you could ask them if they want to review a few charts for you, but it's not mandatory that they do. So really, you just paying somebody car note or something in Florida. Every time I think about that, it pisses me off because family nurse practitioners in Florida are autonomous, but not psych, and that just ain't right. All right, so that's all the states I'm licensed in. Advertising right now, like I said, is all things beauty is just not where it should be, but I'm working on it. Um, tell the truth. What do you think of clinical psychologists with prescribing rights? Um, I haven't I haven't done enough research on it, but my thoughts are that it kind of helps the oversaturation question, right? Because if they're thinking about licensing clinical psychologists, it's because there's a shortage of people to prescribe, as saturated. And this is what I said, the field may be saturated when you're talking about going to work for a company, but when you're talking about private practice and doing your own thing, the field is wide open. Thank you. My website is nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the collaborating physician is not hard because there are some companies that are already set up, and you just call them, you tell them what you want. They charge you whatever. So before I found this lady who I'm currently working with in Florida, I was going through this company. I think it's called Collaborating Physicians, actually. And I told her, she asked me that it was $800 just to have the psychiatrist. Then if I was going to do, was it stimulants? Oh no, if I was going to do ketamine, it was an additional like $300. So it's going to be like $1,200 a month for the collaborating physician if I would have used that company. So it's easy, but it could cost you. Now, most people there are some doctors out here that are trying to reach out to nurse practitioners in states like Florida that they know we need the collaborating physician. So they try to reach out. They're looking for us too, right? Because it's an easy way for them to make money. Money just going in their pocket. So they looking for us, like we looking for them. But it's just that finding that initial connection, so you don't have to pay these. And they're usually cheaper when you come to them on your own. They're cheaper when you just go through them on your own. They're like, oh, give me $700 a month, and when the lady told me $650. Oh, and the collaborating physicians can only have um 4 MPs under them per state, from what one of them told me. So imagine they get $650 for 4 people. Like they could pay, well, they won't pay nobody mortgage in Florida right now, but they could pay a nice car note or something, right? Um, so yeah, it's not hard, but it could get expensive unless you find one on your own. And I know people who have put ads on Indeed or put ads in their local newspapers or some type of, any type of resource you have that physicians may read or whatever, and get in contact with people like that on their own. Um, okay. Carisha Nicole. I did not make my own website. I used the company. So a lot of people wanted me to kind of document my private practice journey, and I couldn't really because I had this company do everything for me. They did my website, they connected my prescribing, my e-prescribe. So when you go to my site and book an appointment, it sends you all of the consent forms. It sends you basically all the questions that you will want to ask for like the first interview. It sends you everything. So it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to fill out. So I send those to my patients like when they book. As soon as they book, it immediately goes to them, and they have to fill it out at least 48 hours before they can see me because I need time to read through them. And it's so thorough. Like you literally just go through, click, 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 click. You ask your questions. You do you're getting your progress note. You're doing all those things. But it was. I think I paid. Was it $1,300 for this company to set up my website and to connect everything for me? But it's the best money I spent. Whatever it was, it's the best money that I spent because it's so seamless. Like it does everything. It sends the people a happy birthday message. It sends them a follow-up reminder. It sends them a text to remind them about the appointment. It's literally almost low key a virtual assistant, right? Because I'm not overwhelmed with patients right now. It's almost like a little virtual assistant EHR system. Ketamine. Would I try ketamine? You mean so I did go to a class on ketamine. I do believe in ketamine. I do plan on someday bringing ketamine into my practice. But then, obviously, right now I'm just virtual, and that will come with me, going to, getting a physical location and all of that. Then I need to get a nurse, or it comes with more setup and things that right now I'm just not there, right? Because it needs to be paying for itself. So, yeah, that's my answer to the ketamine. I believe in ketamine. I read enough articles on it. The EHR is called Practice Q. Practice Q EHR. That's what the name. Oh wait, Intake Q. Sorry, it's Intake Q. It's called Intake Q, and it's super thorough. I love it. Um, it's just the way the company set it up for me. I love it. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Prior to going through this with this company, I was going to use Simple Practice, which is I think specifically catered to like psych MPs and psychiatrists, very simple note taking and stuff like that. But you had to buy a separate like e-scribe and different things like that to connect to it. It was just I'm not a tech person in the sense of like connecting all that. So I just paid this company to do what they do. That's not what I do. So I pay people to do what I don't know how to do. That's always been my motto in life. Leverage, I want my time back. So to get my time back, I pay people to do what they know how to do, and I do what I know how to do. The company that set everything up is hold on. I gotta find it. Oh goodness. I'll find it and put it in here in this thingamajig in the chat. I think their name is Silverleaf. Silverleaf. I think yeah, that's it. Silver. That's the name of the company that set everything up. And they also do other things too. They set up a lot of different things. They used to do credentialing, but they don't do it anymore. I think they recently said something about it not being like I don't know, worth the time that it took for the money that they were charging. So they stopped doing credentialing. Um, So yeah, I'm in the process too of getting credentialed with TRICARE and the VA. So apparently the VA and TRICARE only open up several times a year. I think I was just told the VA has been closed for like maybe 4 or 5 years, and they have just opened up to get credentialed through them. So I got somebody working on getting credentialed through the VA. I don't know if I ever mentioned this in any of my videos, but I used to be in the Air Force. I only did Air Force Reserve, so I'm a veteran. So I want to work and give back to the VA. Also, there's tons of money out there to work with veterans. If you have your business set up correctly, the government, there's tons of money to help veterans out there. But so I'm a veteran. Why not help the veterans? Why not get the government money to help the veterans? So yeah. So I don't it looks like a lot of these people. I had a lot of questions from people who were like not even in the game in the sense of like they're not MPs at all. They're like I think CNAs, like people find me on Instagram and DM me questions, and sometimes I answer, sometimes I don't. You know, I do, but it's just when I see it. So where have I been? So December, I finished that contract. I went to Ghana. I went to Kenya. I spent like 2.5 weeks over there. When I came back, I started working on the private practice. Because even though I paid them to do a lot, it was stuff that they needed me to do. I started working on um some other things. I did create an ebook, and that's available on my other website. And it's mainly, it's not really for you if you're already a nurse practitioner, but if you're someone under like a RN, or maybe at the RN level, it is there for you. It will help, help you. That ebook will help people like that. But if you're already NP, it won't really help you because it's a lot of information in there that you will probably already know or you've already been through. So, but if you're on here and you're, a RN or under, that book will probably help you out. It just tells you all the steps. It talks about travel nurse practitioner. I mean, yeah, travel nurse practitioner, and stuff like that. I am not using growth therapy right now. I am using Alma and Headway. I might sign up with growth therapy. So Adrian's asked, did I go back to school? I did. So I did start. Thank you for reminding me about that. Because I did go back to school. I started school in November. I had an A in both my classes. So February, my classes were over, and I was trying to pay out of pocket because my student loans are through the roof. So I had to take the next semester off, which was from February to May. So now I'm in the process of like, am I going to go back right now? Because I have something else I'm working on, and I don't know if I'm going to put my undivided attention into it, or if I'm just going to push it off until like the fall again. So I did go back for my doctorates, but it is on hold right now. And I did go back to Walden because they had like a discount for alumni. And, that's where I got my master's from. So, yeah, I did go back to school, but it is on hold right now, Adrian. And it was, the doctorate is it's just busy work, like research this and research that, and your opinion on this as a scholar and all this stuff. It's not my favorite program, because I don't feel like I am, what's the word I want to use? I don't plan on doing any research in my career. I don't plan on writing any scholarly articles at any point. I don't know. I told y'all in another video that I went back to for my doctorates because I feel like the Holy Spirit told me to do it, but I still haven't found my purpose and why yet. I have no desire for it, but I'm doing it because that's what I was told to do. The DMP is, I honestly don't know. I did apply for a scholarship that I hope I get. The scholarship kind of gives like 22,000 a year towards it. I won't know until the fall though if I get that scholarship. And that scholarship is actually available. I think the deadline has passed for this year, but for all of you who are on here who are maybe going next year or something, let me see. What was the name of that program? They do it for the masters, and they do it for the master's program and a doctorate program. It is called, it's on the SAMHSA website. Wait, no, no, no. I'm just gonna put it in here. www.emfp.org. That's the site right there that does scholarships for psych, for the master's program and for the doctorate's program. I do think they want you to have like a focus on like substance abuse, maybe. Um, no, they just want you to something with community work, whatever it is. Just go on there and read it. But they do have offer scholarships for master's level, going into the master's as well as the doctorates. But I think the deadline passed for this year already. So, Adrian, you said, I understand I'm debating going back. I'm a FMP wanting to go back to get my psych. Yeah. If you like psych, go back for it. I don't know if you're motivated by what's your motivations for going back to psych. That will kind of help me like tell you something. But let it be because you enjoy psych. And I know as F&Ps, y'all kind of prescribe some psych meds too. So it's kind of like, why not just go back and get the psych degree? I do think it makes you more versatile. I do think it gives you an advantage over just somebody who just has the psych MP. If you applying for the same job as me, it might give you an advantage, but it also depends on where, because I see some jobs that says specifically that you need to have the psych specialty. Oh, okay, well, good. So you have some history there working with psych. So why not go back for you? You're There's more value that you have more opportunities. That's the word I want to say, as an FMP and a psych MP. Excuse me. If I was an FMP right now and a psych MP, I would probably be doing weight loss therapy in my office with Ozempic. I'll be doing hormone replacement therapy in my office. I'll be doing psych. I have a practice that's probably making 150K a month if I had both degrees, because it's the money is there for both, especially with the Monjera, Ozempic era that we're in, as well as hormone replacement therapy with people who are, the the gender transformation that we're in. No, I'm not working at nowhere else as an EMP right now. Um, I don't know if you were on when I was just saying that I was on hold with taking the locums contract because my daughter is graduating from school in a few weeks. So I was waiting on graduation for, before I leave and go somewhere. Um, Active patients about 13 active. Um, Another thing that I don't like about, I won't say I don't like it, but it's difficult. I feel I've had a few patients that I feel like were trying to play me. You know, they they don't know that we have this system on the back end that we can look in and check and see what medications they're being prescribed from other physicians. So when I'm having this whole conversation with them, you know, they tell me one thing and then I go looking and they tell me another, and then there's something else, and then I gotta address this deceit, you know. I don't like that, I don't like to feel like I'm being played, and it makes me want to just like not deal with the patient. But I did have another fellow MP just kind of mentor me on that and just say that it's very frequent and common in this field of people just, I guess, wanting to feel better, and in their quest to feel better, their patience is low. They're looking for a medication. We do this generation is instant gratification, and most psych meds take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Antidepressants, 4 to 6 weeks before you really add efficacy, and they want the instant gratification. So you give them something, they try it for 2 weeks, and it's like it's not working. Then they go see another doctor, and then they're taking, they're trying to take everything. So you got to really be vigilant and checking and making sure you're doing your checks, because they'll get you in trouble out here. And I don't like that part, because I don't like nobody to be playing. I don't like to feel like I'm being played. Um, so in Florida is the only place that I could see that I could prescribe stimulants and like narcotics or anything, because Florida is the only state I currently have a DEA license in. I can pay and get a DEA license in other states, but I don't want to. Um, for one, I don't have enough patients in those other states to be spending that type of money to be able to do that. And then two, there's some new laws rolling down. A lot of laws were lifted post pandemic or during the pandemic about seeing patients virtually that they're now going back to kind of revamp. So you used to go see a patient virtually, you didn't have to see them in person, and you could prescribe them, stimulants or whatever, schedule two meds. And now they're going back to kind of revamp that to say like you might need to see the patient once every 6 months in person. So that's going to affect if I got a patient in, let's say, California or New York, or California on a med, and I can't, where, how am I go see them? I'm not about to fly to Cali to go see them. So I don't know, it's creating some barriers. So we'll see how that plays out in the next few months with legislation. Um yeah, the DEAs are super, super expensive. Like, I think that's another reason why I probably ain't got a DA in all these states because they cost money. Now you can, right? If you're working with a locums, they'll pay for this stuff for you, right? But I'm not currently actively working with anybody right now. Um, but if you're on a contract, they'll pay. They'll even pay for licenses that, like, if you're not currently working in that state, they'll pay for anything on the locums contract for you. So, yeah. Um, let's see if I got everybody. So I think I answered most people questions. Let me go through. I haven't been on here in like 4 months, which is embarrassing to say. Um, but let's see. I From my comments, I could tell that a lot of people are coming into the field. People have tons of questions. People talking about mentorship. People talking about clinical, all type of stuff in the comments. So the field is a lot of people coming into the field. I just hope they're not motivated by money to come into this field because you will be anxious, depressed, and all of the above. Uh some people are super passionate in these comments, right? They be going off in these comments and I'd be like, ugh. A lot of people ask for which companies do I use for locums for corrections. They're everywhere. I use mostly locum tenens. They have all the correction contracts, and locum tenens, they have all the correction contacts. Um, and corrections always need help. They always need help. I think in Washington they need help so bad on corrections. They like literally begging people in Washington to come and work. Um Cara, you just graduated and you're trying to find a job. If you're interested in corrections, go work at corrections and get your experience in corrections. I am so confident about corrections hiring everywhere. I'm willing to say that any state in the 50 states that has a prison or jail, you can go find a job as your first job in corrections. Like, that's how short they be in corrections. And it's easy work. It's just, corrections is easy work. So why don't you just transition to Psych and P where you already at? You already work in corrections. Yeah, corrections is the best kept secret in nursing and in NP. Some of the NPs told me it's it's not too tough. It's not. Listen, the correction, the prison that I was in New England. If I wanted to live in New England, I would have just stayed there. New Hampshire specifically, I would have just stayed there. And, but it was in a little small area in New Hampshire. I'm from Miami. I'm used to big cities. I do appreciate greenery, water, hikes, all of those things. But then, you know, that city was just too small. Like, I could probably live in Boston, but that little city I was in was too small for me. Like I go to every time I go to the grocery store, I see the same people. I'm not used to that. But corrections, just transition into corrections. It's not if you already working as an RN. I don't know. So you said that some of the MPs told me not to. So maybe that depends on where you located at. Because for me, I'm both prisons I worked in as a psych MP were super easy jobs. Super easy, redundant. You learn a lot. You still learn a lot. I felt safe. Now I did hear in other Florida reason is lack of diverse experience. That may very well be true, right? But if you're trying, one thing about it though is when you go in there for the first year to get experience, when you go out into the world, they don't know what the experience, what the diversity is in the corrections. So nobody's on there as asking about your diverse population when you work on any assignment. So if you go and work in a jail, all they see on your experiences that you got on your resume is that you got some psych experience. They don't care how diverse the jail was. So if you have the opportunity to transition to psych MP in the jail, I would do it. Now I know here in some of the other, like in northern Florida, they some prisons in northern Florida, I was told not to go work at because the correction officers and the inmates are in cahoots on running the jail. I don't. I have not worked there, but I've been warned not to go there. So some correction facilities may not be the best, but for the most part, I feel like the Northeast, the West, Florida is Florida with everything. That's why you always see Florida man on the news. Florida is just a different. It's the United States of Florida, you know. Um, I'm not cash based. I take insurance, but I also have cash rates. I take the insurances that are through Alma and Headway, which are United, Cigna, United, Cigna, I think Oxford. I don't know. It's like five insurances that I take. Now, they do have their own sites and I get some referrals from them. I actually was getting a lot of referrals from Alma, but they didn't pan out to actual clients in the long run. I may have gotten two or three that actually panned out, maybe out of like 20 referrals. So I think with those companies, it's a race to the finish line. Like who calls them first? Who gets the first access? And then, from there. Because they reaching out to multiple providers at the same time. Someone asked me in my questions about giving psychotherapy as an NP, and they kind of said that that's more of the therapist job, and it is, right? But some people prefer to just work with the NP and to do both. And we are qualified and trained to do both, right? Some people actually go back through places like PESI and they do to get certifications in like cognitive behavior therapy, ADHD, different certifications to make themselves more comfortable. And you can bill for that. So you could bill for medication management as well as the therapy. So you could do both. Some MPs don't want to do both. They just want to they want to do medication management and go see your therapist, and that's fine too, whatever works for you. But the option is you can do both if you want. Um, Somebody asked, is the prison a 12-hour shift? That varies on what correction facility you in. The one that I was in was um one of them that I was in was 5/8 and the other one was 3/12. Um, how long will it take at Walden's if you already have a master's? I think if you already have a master's, it's just a 1 year post certificate if you already have a master's in something at Walden. So people have asked me about preceptorship, and two things I have on that to answer two different questions about preceptorships if you're already in school. I've addressed this in one other video, is that there is a shortage on preceptors, and you are going to maybe 90% have to pay for your clinical. I don't, if you could get around that, bless you. But everybody I know paying for clinicals right now. I don't want to talk about get caught up in what's right, what's wrong, what the school should be doing, whatever. If you want to graduate, pay for what you want. Like it's an investment in yourself to be done with school. Like I'd rather be done with school, pay whatever these people asking for, and be done with school so that I'm not. I told you I set out 2 semesters because I thought it was like, who charges people for this? And then I realized that that was the norm. But prior to that, I set out 2 semesters. Cost me what, 6 months of my life sitting out when I could have just paid and been done. So all these people who refusing to pay or all of this stuff, then guess what? You'll be sitting out over and over again when you could be moving on with your life. And we gotta, people have a problem investing in themselves, and all you stop with the Starbucks, or cut out going out to eat, and just, or go pick up a shift. Y'all know how we RNs do. Go pick up a shift and pay for the clinicals. Like I have the smallest violin to play for people who don't want to pay for what they need to finish school. Like pay for the clinicals. Like smallest violin. So that, and then as far as me doing a preceptorship, it's kind of hard for me right now because my schedule is very all over the place. Like I said, because I don't have a big practice right now. And honestly, my practice is low on my things to do list of amongst other things that I'm doing right now. I know that sounds weird, but it is. That's where I'm at with it. I do plan on going back out on contract to do a locums, um, to build my resources back up because I've been off of work a lot of time. Like my last paycheck was like December 10th or something like that. My last paycheck was like December 10th. So I need some money. So I'll probably go back on the locums contract sooner than later. Um, and I'll still build a practice at the same time. Hopefully I can find something that's like 312s or something like that again. But honestly, most of the contracts that I have been seeing have been like 5/8s or something like that. New York, if you in New York and you need a job, like these people, I ain't even never heard of Puguski, New York. I've never even heard of some of these places for Puguski, New York, needs like places. Holyoke, Massachusetts has like a new inpatient facility. They need places. I'm like, I've never even heard of these places, and they need help, and they keep emailing me about them. The one in Holyoke is like children and adults, and I don't mind seeing. It'll be new for me with children. I did see children in my last um on my last contract. They were children who were being charged as adults for the crimes they committed, but it wasn't like children that they were incarcerated. So this is different, prescribing to children who are going back into the world type of thing. Um, yeah. So, um, what else? What else? I am. I do. I am going to try to get back to. I think I said this when I first came on. Is that I wanted to, like, I could take literally. I have so many questions. It's been like 6 months since I've been on here. And I'm like, maybe I just go through all these questions and tally them up and just make like 5-6 minute videos addressing each one. That'll give me some content, and they'll give y'all what y'all want too, right? Um, yeah. So, Gertrude, you live there. That's why you know what Holy Oak Massachusetts is. I've never heard of that prior to them asking me to do a contract there. The top places that are wanting people right now is New York, Massachusetts, and Washington. And the place in Montana has a lot. It's a psych facility, and it has I think it has they need a lot of people there, and it's a continuous rotation out of just like having a lot of locums providers there. Also in New Hampshire, they got a new facility that was taken over by New Hampshire State Hospital, and they're about to be hiring like a bunch of psych and P's to work there too. So they called me to kind of give me a heads up about that. Um, Montana, they have. She was telling me that they have like their like dormitory style housing on the property where the psychiatrists and people stay at. And I actually know a psychiatrist. I have to call her. She worked with me at the jail. She's there now to see how she likes it and what she tells me about it. Because she lives in Seattle, but she's there now, and she's an older psychiatrist. She was actually a psych NP first and went back to school to do psychiatrist because she didn't like how psychiatrists made her feel in the profession. So she went back to school and she's a psychiatrist now. But we're really close because nurses have that that personal touch of which I no offense to MDs and doctors, right? But I think our bedside mannerism carries over to us, our compassion carries over to when we're providers, and we have that. We listen a little bit more. We don't, we're not just pushing people through. So she and I got along really well because she was an RN first and a psych NP, and I have to admit that my la- my contracts, my leadership has not been the best coming from older psychiatrists. They're kind of stuck in their ways. They don't feel that we should be in the field. They think we need more training as MPs. They're just, yeah, uh, you will experience that out there, I think. But in my experience, is the older ones, not the younger ones, but the older ones. They are very, yeah. Okay. Was I going somewhere with all that? I don't even remember. As a recent FMP grad and dual PMHN student, I'm debating about dropping the PMHNP since I'm interested in prescribing Suboxone ADHS. Any advice? So, as an FMP, you can why? So I'm trying to understand your question, Doris. You're saying that you only want to prescribe Suboxone and ADHD meds. So you're asking, do you even need the Psych MP to do that? Because I believe as a FMP, sorry guys, I believe as a FMP, you can prescribe Suboxone and ADHD meds without having a Psych MP. So if that's your primary reason, I'm not sure why you need the PMHNP. Now, that also depends, I think, on where you're hired at, because some people with ADHD meds and psych, they want you to have that PMHNP. So I think that's a location dependent type of thing. You tried the scholarship and you didn't receive it. I might not get. I don't know if I'm gonna get it either. I applied though, so we'll see what happens. I hope I'm not getting sick because I got a conference to go to Tuesday and I feel like I am getting sick. So I think I've answered some of the questions that were at my top. If anybody else have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace because it is 11 o'clock, and I think I want to catch up on Bridgerton. Bridgerton. Anybody got any questions? If not, you could just continue to put them in the comments. I plan to be a little bit more active. And yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit because I know this has a delay. I don't know how to fix that. So I'm going to wait a little bit to see if questions come up. Oh, excuse me. I don't know if y'all been seeing all over TikTok, like Miami prom season is like it's like the Met Gala. And actually the theme tonight for my daughter's best friend was Met Gala. So I just came from there and it's just exhausting. Miami prom is exhausting. It's equivalent to like the bar mitzvah and the quinceañera or whatever it's called. It's a big deal. All right, guys. I think that is it for tonight. I thank you all for joining. I hope I've been able to help somebody somewhere along their journey. Um, if you are a student, not necessarily NP student, but maybe RN, LPN, CNA, I do have my ebook on my channel, my site, mentaldemic.com. Let me put that there. And continue to write your questions. If you have them, I will see them and maybe make a video out of them. Peace out, Cub Scouts.